Welcome to the Two Old Kids and Two Young Adults podcast. We've combined life experience with young adult drive and ambition. Are you just starting to college plan? Did you finish your education and wonder, now what? Join us in this lively discussion about the topics you need to know to create the next stage of your life's dreams, careers, finances, education, and more.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're listening to this. This is Ed Sanderson. I'm one of the hosts of Two Young Adults, Two Old Kids. Did I do that right? Two Old Kids, Two Young Adults. I always get it backwards because I desperately want to be the young person of the group, but I'm not.
You are.
What I do have two young adults, my co-hosts, Capri and Alex, and we have our guest tonight, Jen Griffard. We're going to give her a proper introduction, but just to kind of let you guys know what this podcast is about. It's an opportunity for young people to engage with experienced people in different industries. Tonight, we're going to talk about the medical industry specifically. And at the same time, for us old folks to get some insight on what young people think about, what they want to know, we put those two folks together and we give them the opportunity to interact so they can ask questions and get experience on a number of different subjects. So, with that in mind, this evening we have a very special guest. I have Jen Griffard, Chief Operating Officer of Little Medical School, and interesting program they have. What I'd like to do is just take a minute and maybe let Jen explain what they do, and then we'll start firing off some questions. Jen, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here tonight.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. All right, let me tell you about Little Medical School. So we are educating young kids about health and science careers. We start at age 4, go all the way up to age 14. And we've included a teen program in that so that we can get teens excited about health and science careers. So our mission is just really to inspire the next generation of healthcare heroes. And we do that through after-school programs, summer camps, birthday parties, in-school field trips. So we have a lot of opportunities to get our programming out there.
So Jen, let me just start off, thank you so much for being here. The reason this is kind of important, Capri is on her way to Purdue and she's interested in getting into the medical profession in some way, shape, or form. I wanted to ask some questions, but I think the thing is, being in the college advising business, I get a lot of young people coming in talking about going into medicine as a profession. And some of them are talking about nursing, physician assistants, PhDs. Maybe you could tell the folks out there, if you have a young person who is showing interest in this particular field, why it's so important to get them some exposure at a young age.
I think having that exposure so young, learning how your bodies work and why they work the way they do, and also, teaching them about basic life-saving skills, that kind of interest in showing them various healthcare careers at that, whether it be medicine, pharmacy, veterinary medicine, getting them excited early will only foster that love of going into healthcare, right? It's kind of setting those stepping stones and getting them excited at an early age so that they can then say, once they get to high school, wow, is there a club I can be a part of? Is there, extra classes? Is there anything at the hospital I can do? Volunteer opportunities, and just keep fostering that interest.
That is a great answer. I'm going to turn the mic over to Capri, but I do have one other question about that. I don't think it's a big mystery here that becoming a professional doctor or physician assistant requires a significant investment. I mean, not only in terms of the amount of time and schooling, but also the amount of money that you put in for that type of commitment. Jim, maybe you could just elaborate a little bit more from your perspective and what your experience is, why it's so important and so valuable to allow a young person to kind of get their feet wet in your program and beyond that before a parent or a family makes a commitment like that.
Well, I think allowing them to take a class with us, where they're learning how to use real medical tools, how to use real stethoscopes, how to use blood pressures. I've had kids in some of my classes that were squeamish to some of the things that we were talking about and, didn't want to hear certain words. And so then that kind of says, hey, maybe my kid is not really interested in, healthcare or how the body works or things like that. And then maybe they're interested in something different, and that's okay. At least they tried. At least they took a class and kind of got to learn a little bit of something, and maybe it helped them overcome a fear of going to the doctor. You never know. So there's a lot of kids out there that have a lot of fears about the doctor or the hospital, and by taking some of our classes, that helps with that. And then there are kids, we have a little girl right now that's taking our summer camp, and she has been wearing scrubs to our class every single day, different colored scrubs. I'm not kidding. It is the cutest thing. And that is one little girl. She is 5 years old that is excited, and her mom even said all she wants to do is be a doctor. You come over to my house and she's going to do an exam on you. I mean, it's that, like, I love fostering that. I love helping kids and teaching them about the profession, whether they choose to go into it or not. At least we've given them some basic know-how and gotten them excited about a healthcare career or a science career at that.
That is fantastic. All right, Capri. Alex will get his chance. I know he went to school and has a degree in psychology, but you're getting ready to go to school, namely Purdue University. Why don't you tell the folks what you're going to study? And maybe if you've got a few questions for Jen, you can fire those away too.
Okay. I'm going to Purdue University to study biomedical health sciences, and my end goal is to become a surgeon. I mean, that might change, but been pretty stuck on that career for the last few years. And I just want to say like this, if I had known about Little Medical School when I was, I don't know, like 7, like, oh, that would have been so cool. I have so many questions, so I'll try and pick the best one. It sounds like you already told us one of your favorite parts of your job is just like seeing kids like react and sparking that drive and like motivation. So let's move on to maybe how did you get your start with Little Medical Schools?
Well, funny enough, I come from a family of doctors. My dad is a retired physician. My brother is an orthopedic surgeon. And my sister was a nurse. And I ended up working at the hospital, and I worked for my dad for years. And so I was a tech at the local hospital here in St. Louis, worked there for 6 years, and then went on and got my degree in health administration, health management. I was working for a independent physicians group that offered a variety of different medical professions, orthopedics and internists and different things like that. And they happened to be underwriting Little Medical School. Mm-hmm. So kind of helping it get its first steps off the ground. So Dr. Mary Mason is the CEO and founder of Little Medical School. And they asked if I would come in and help build the school base for St. Louis. So calling on schools, calling on parks departments, community centers, churches, libraries, anybody that would be interested in running or allowing us to come in their after school programs. That's what I did. And then I started. So we use real medical equipment. So then it is sourcing all the products that go into all of our programming. So as of today, we have over 400 hours of programming at Little Medical School. So sourcing all those products for all those various programs and branding it and giving Little Medical School a name was something I was very, very involved in. And so I started just building the St. Louis market. In 2015, Dr. Mason asked if we wanted to franchise. And so we started franchising it. So now we have over 35 franchises internationally and domestically that are running our after school programs and summer camps and all of that. And then on top of that, I helped create the toy line for Little Medical School. So we do have a toy line, and it does come with real working stethoscopes. It's not your typical medical kit out there. It is one that is very STEM based and full of role play and lots of fun. So I got really lucky, to be honest with you. I've had a lot of, bad jobs throughout my years, and little medical school was a blessing. And I couldn't be happier for the role I've gotten to play over the years, starting off as coordinator and now chief operating officer and getting to oversee all the operations. Honestly has been one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm a lucky girl.
At the right place, like right time with a little.
Exactly.
So in starting all of that, what was one of the biggest challenges you faced and how did you overcome it?
Well, I would say one of the biggest and one of the biggest things that our franchises face too is going into a market where nobody knows you. What is this little medical school and what are they doing and why are they doing it? And I'll tell you, it was worse before COVID. And now ever since COVID, everybody is interested. Everybody's interested in health. We're getting more phone calls. We're running more summer. We're having the biggest summer we've ever had. Everybody is interested. Everybody wants to know because we did classes on COVID. We did classes on proper hand washing. We tried to really pivot to do some virtual classes since we couldn't be in the after school setting during COVID. COVID was a huge hurdle for us. And I think we did an awesome job. And Dr. Mason, and she came out swinging and she was doing free classes online with her daughter and, making blood online and all sorts of cool stuff. So we really did pivot well and just tried to make sure that we kept that programming and alive and was able to bring it to as many children as we could.
That's incredible. Alex, do you want a chance to talk?
No, he don't need to say nothing.
This is all you.
He's our bodyguard. He's just our bodyguard.
I got like a list here.
Go through it. I know this is very relevant to you. Yeah, go ahead.
I love talking about it. So yes, you can ask me anything.
So as someone who's entering a STEM field, what are either some really important things that you think everyone should know or a challenge that many people face that like it might have an easy fix or they should be aware of before entering the field?
I think you got to really, have a passion for it. And you have to have a want to, it is, if you want to be a doctor or a surgeon, it takes a lot of schooling and a lot of dedication and time. And to be able to put that and fulfill your dreams, I say you should absolutely do it. If it's something that you're wavering on, take some classes, find out if it's truly meant for you. I don't know if I had a chance to say this yet, but we utilize college students like yourself, high school students to help us teach our programs. So we use medical students, nursing students, pharmacy students. We've used students that are going in to be teachers. We've had some retired doctors that have helped us, nurses, really giving kids the opportunity to teach it themselves. And they're like, well, I'm learning stuff just by teaching it. Plus, it is also teaching you how to interact with others, especially kids. So it kind of helps with your bedside manner. And there are some people that are just not cut out for it, and that's totally fine. You can find another avenue within health and science for sure. But getting the opportunity to work with kids, and you watch a child put a stethoscope in their ears and listen to their heartbeat for the first time, and their eyes just get really wide because they hear it for the first time. It is incredible. And to me, that's worth it. So I say, if it's your passion, go for it.
Yeah, I've definitely had one of those experiences where we, at my school, we had this biomed pathway and I took it all 4 years and we got to take our own like blood pressure and like stick the stethoscope under like the cuff and hear it release. So that was cool.
Hearing a blood pressure for the first time was pretty cool for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Learning how to do it and do it on patients was scary for the first time. But once you get it, it's like, our body works in mysterious ways and it's just a miracle. And just to be able to teach kids that it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. I always find it so impressive that like younger kids, when you're talking to them and they're like really interested about something, that they can conceptualize it so much better than like I can sometimes. I'm like, wow, you know your stuff. It's pretty cool. Would you mind walking us through like one of what a typical class might look like? like what activities you do and whatnot?
Yeah. I'll say which one. I have so many favorites. But I think I'm going to start with our very first class ever, which is what's in the doctor's bag.
Mhm.
And so we start every little medical school program, and I'm not joking when I say this, with a white coat ceremony. So each child receives a white coat, and we do a white coat pledge. So we teach them the importance of that white coat ceremony and why doctors go through it. And so then we have our words of the day, and we always like to pick kind of big words and words that, make them have to really think about it. And one of our words, and for that class, and let's see if you know it, is sphygmomanometer.
Absolutely not.
Do you guys know what that is? What?
Not me.
I know it
Do you
measures something.
It does. It's a blood pressure.
Oh.
It takes your blood pressure. A sphygmomanometer. So we actually get the kids to say that word, because how cool is it for them to like go home? They're sitting around the dinner table and they're talking about sphygmomanometers. So we do use those big words. So we go over the words of the day, and then they get to put together their stethoscope. So it comes in 3 separate pieces. They put it together. They get a name tag for it. And then we teach them how to use it. And so just the excitement with that, using it, listening to their heartbeat, and then listening to their lungs, and listening to their digestive sounds, and seeing if their stomachs are growling. And so they love that. And then we learn how to use the blood pressure cuff. And most of the time with young kids, all they really want to do is just pump it up. They just want to pump, 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 pump. And, we're just teaching them the basics. And learning a blood pressure is very difficult, and it takes a long time to learn that. But really what we're teaching them is just, what is it? Why do we do it? Why is it so important? And give them the basic know-how of how to use it. And then our next activity is how to use the reflex hammer. So we use real reflex hammers, and we teach them how to use it on the knee. I'm not so very good on the ankle or the elbow, but the knee, and the kids love it. They love to watch their knees and their legs swing up in the air. And then their last activity is they get to role play doctor and then the patient. So they get to do listen to their heart with their stethoscope. They get to do a blood pressure on their patient, and they get to check the reflexes. They fill out a little plan of action. Does my patient need to eat more veggies? Cute stuff like that. So, and they fill it out and they sign it, and they either give their patient a check mark of a bill of health, or kids they like to joke around and pretend like they're sick. So they have a good time. Role play is a big part of our programming, because it truly helps kids remember, especially when you do it over and over again. So that's the whole class. And then we do a review. And one of my favorite things, though, at the end of our 6-week program, because all of our after school programs are 6 weeks, they meet 1 day a week for an hour. We do a graduation ceremony. So we invite the parents to come, and the kids do a presentation on everything they learned over the 6 weeks. And then we call them up one by one and give them our diplomas. And then we have them recite our own Hippocratic oath. Oh. And then they get to go home.
That sounds adorable.
It is. You should come teach for us.
I will. Definitely 10 out of 10.
Yes.
I have one more question, and I think we'll almost be out of time. So sure. I've started to see this, even it's like through the 4 years of high school, people who come in and they're really excited about just like learning about more STEM-based things. And throughout the 4 years, they've reached a point where they're still interested in it, but they're kind of burnt out a little bit. How have you faced that sort of challenge with the little medical school?
With as far as our instructors getting burned out, or
no, if there's any kids who have been doing it for X amount of time and then they start to dislike it, or you maybe with the more older kids that they're they try this new thing and then they're obsessed with it, and then it's just not as interesting anymore.
So I will say that we've had several students that have come through that have taken every single program we have ever offered. They've taken every single summer camp. And so they're just waiting for us to create new programming so that they can then come and take that program. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Now, there are some kids that will take just only our veterinarian programs because they know they want to be a vet. So, we try to encourage them to go for some of our other programming, but man, do they love their veterinarian programs. So we try to create more of those. And then once they get to a point where they're kind of aging out of it, we usually ask them to come back to us in high school, like junior or senior year, and either A, volunteer and be a junior instructor, or they can help us, like if we have a big event with the Girl Scouts or the Boy Scouts or something maybe to do around the office, come and help us. And then once you get into college, come teach for us. And then we'll write you letters of recommendation. Dr. Mason is wonderful about that. She will write you a letter of recommendation for medical school, nursing school, whatever field you're going into. She is just wonderful. So would be willing to do that as well. And I think that's really beneficial for a lot of students who want to go into the medical field, and getting that letter of recommendation is a big win for them.
So you guys do have next steps for people who kind of aged out.
Absolutely. And we also teach kids, on our teen program, what does it take to start a medical office and a career in medicine? And, what is all the stuff you have to buy, all the office stuff, all the hiring people, and just what it takes, because it's not just about the medicine, especially if you're starting your own practice. So
insurance.
Yes, insurance especially. Yes. So just really trying to help as much as we can. And Dr. Mason's been really great about that.
I love how Capri keeps referring to teenagers as aging out. That hurts my feelings.
The program, I looked on the website and I heard that as mostly 4 to 14 kind of. So right as you're entering high school.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's where we encourage the volunteering.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. So I have 2 questions related to that, Jen. Listen, you got 35 locations nationally, internationally. Let's say a young person is listening to this going, man, I want those types of programs, but they're not available. How can they get involved so they can have some experience that tells them what the medical field is like? And I love the veterinarian piece. That is just brilliant.
Wow, it's so big.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious, what would you suggest to somebody who might not have access to your program yet, but they do want to get a feel for it? What's some practical pointers that you could give them to see if it's the right fit and to really get the experience that might make a difference, not only in a career choice, but in the application process too?
Well, we've had people call, and that's what started us franchising, is because somebody's grandchild came to St. Louis that lived in a different state and took our camp, and they wanted more of it. And so that's why we started franchising, so that we could get it out there. Now, yes, would we love it to be everywhere and I would love every child should have the opportunity to take our programs. I truly believe that, because of just the different things that we're teaching them. If it's not available to you or in your location, I recommend looking at your local hospitals, because I can tell you that a lot of them offer various programs for, high school students, middle school students. I think we are the only ones offering it for such young kids. But I say, if you're near one of our franchises, I would absolutely get on our website and look up our locations. And if one is near you, I would click on it. You can apply. You could talk to our franchise owner. I can help you. We're always willing to help. So, I would love for everywhere, but we're getting there.
Jen, I got this crazy idea. I'm going to brainstorm this live on this broadcast.
Okay.
See, what I think would be cool is if Capri was like, I want to do one of these at my high school. Granted, it's not a franchise, but if she could go through a program and learn a couple of those basic deals, and they could do an after-school program at the middle school level, high school level, I think what you guys do is fantastic. And honestly, I think more professions should be setting up these opportunities for folks, young people, to get real world experience to the best that they possibly can, so they make an informed decision. And I'll tell you how practical it is. My daughter, ever since she was a kid, I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be a nurse. And then she got her blood drawn one time and she's like, nope, I'm not doing that.
That
but
happens a
you
lot.
don't know until you know, right? So
Yep.
I don't know. These young folks here are pretty smart. We got to figure out a way to get this in some schools, maybe some other franchises that are doing after school programs. This seems to be a no-brainer to me.
Absolutely. Well, and we do try to get grants through the various avenues so that we can, get out our programming free to underserved at-risk communities. Like I said, every child should have the opportunity to take our classes, especially, that we're teaching life-saving skills, tying tourniquets, like first aid, CPR, Heimlich, role playing, calling 911, things that they're not learning in their day-to-day schooling. We're teaching them in the after school setting. And I just think it's vital. So yes, the more we spread the word doing this podcast, hopefully you guys will start talking about it to others, and the word will get out, and more people will want to bring our programming to their cities, because I do think it's really important.
Well, I mean, Jen, this is how this podcast started, right? Alex and I were speaking for Avid, and young people coming in, asking his experience in college and what he went through and different projects. I mean, there's an opportunity here. We're going to keep messing around with this until we get this thing everywhere. I did want to kind of ask another question specifically regarding, it just slipped my mind because I got all excited about that other thing. I wanted to talk a little bit about, you talked about that young girl who comes to school every day in her scrubs.
Yeah.
Do you have another story, somebody that sticks out in your mind that went through the program and now maybe is a doctor now, or just gave you guys great feedback from their experiences?
Well, when I first started 9 years ago, we had an instructor, actually. It was his first time teaching. He was just, I think, right out of high school and was contemplating a career in medicine. So he came and taught several camps for us, several classes throughout the year when he had availability, with of starting college and all of that. But he is now a doctor and happy, and all he can talk about is how his experience teaching for a little medical school and just working with the kids really helped him, keep going, and he was like, I just want to do this. And so he is truly happy, and we're truly happy for him. And we want hopefully more of our instructors will do that. And I mean, we've had a lot of kids come through the program, thousands and thousands. And since we are, only 9 years or 10 years old, so it's going to take a little bit of time before we start seeing some of our students get into medical school. But we do hope that they'll come back and talk with us or teach for us. So that would be ideal.
That's a great opportunity. You allow them to come back and teach. I can't even stress how powerful that is on an application for admissions, or
Yes.
writing about that in your personal statement or an essay or an interview. That tells the university that you have a game plan and that you're successful at what you're doing and that you're serious about that. Any university or college is going to want that type of student in and around them.
Absolutely.
Alex, I wish I could shut you up. You've said way too much tonight. You burned up all of our time. So I want to give you this quote off of Little Medical School's website. I jotted this down. I thought it was great. Our programs aim to inspire children to aspire for careers in healthcare, and by extension, veterinary, STEM, all of those things. Jen, you guys are doing a great job. I mean,
thank you.
What you guys are accomplishing is fantastic.
I would truly appreciate it. It's just been a joy getting to build this and bring it out to all students, and hopefully we can just keep spreading it.
Well, whatever we can do to help, I've got some thoughts. I'll connect with you later on this week or early next week, because I think there's some opportunities. I have a little bit of background in the franchise business, so I've got some ideas maybe you thought of, but I think you guys run some amazing things.
Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for having me on tonight. I
know you're busy traveling like crazy, making toys, all kinds of fun stuff. I appreciate you joining us. Listen, this is why we do this. We want to get practical experience, what's happening in the real world in the hand of young people, so they're also inspired. I know Capri's got a fantastic career ahead of herself.
Yes, good luck.
Get to connect and chat. And listen, like I said, this is two old kids, two young adults. I'm all excited, even though Capri said I've aged out. I'm excited about what you guys do and what it's capable of if we can just connect young people to experienced, mature people. On behalf of Alex, Capri, our guest Jen. This is Ed Sanderson. We'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
All right, we couldn't get enough of Jen. We were all super excited. We shut the recording off. Alex pouted and was crying. He had questions he wanted to ask. So we're going to do the bonus extended cut version of this. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Alex, take the stage, buddy.
All right. Thank you, guys. I have a few more questions for you, Jen. I think what you do is so cool. I know we've talked a lot about you expanding to 35 franchises, which is awesome. Obviously, you have the medical side of it, the veterinarian side of it as well. Just want to, on that topic of expansion, do you anticipate expanding this program to educate children about other career opportunities? And if so, what are those areas that you potentially see it expanding to? Or are you just trying to stick strictly on that medical side of everything?
Well, I'll tell you, the next program we're working on is forensics.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that
DNA,
sounds so cool.
Fingerprinting. Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I nerd out about that.
Yeah. We've also, and we haven't even put it out, but we have a franchise in China. And she is wonderful, and we created Chinese medicine. So we have that program that we haven't even put out yet. We do have a business school that we have written. We just haven't figured out how to get kids excited about business school. So,
right.
It's coming up with fun, clever ways to get kids excited about those different types of careers. I mean, I would love to see, so I have an 18-year-old son, and he's very confused about what he wants to do and what path he wants to take as a career. And so we've been looking a lot at different trades. But I think it would be kind of cool to teach kids at a young age what is welding, what is plumbing, what is, mechanics, and all sorts of cool stuff. But they don't teach any of that until the latter part of high school, if you're lucky.
Exactly.
And so I don't know. Could we do something along those lines? I think so. It's just figuring out the logistics of all of that. The safety.
Right, yeah. That's probably somewhat important in that conversation, I would say.
Yeah.
Exactly. Who cares? But I don't know, that's really interesting. I know we've talked about that a little bit too, about having that on the podcast, is talking a little bit more about trade school, but yeah, safety comes first for sure.
Absolutely.
And on that, I know you talked about trying to come up with fun and clever ways to make, business school appeal to kids. Because obviously being a doctor sounds, I don't know, when I was a kid, being a doctor or veterinarian sounded cooler than being a business owner. But on that same topic too, did you find that it was difficult to find that balance between making it fun for the kids, because obviously, want to hold their interest and everything, and obviously making it educational as well? Was it difficult to find that balance between making it fun, holding their interest, and then making it educational for them as well?
It is. It's a fine balance. So it's a little bit of lecture, because if you think about it, they're in school all day.
Yeah.
And then they come to us, and the last thing they want to do is be lectured at. They want to have a little bit of fun. So a little bit of talking, and then we try to jam in as many activities or role plays as we can, because they just want to play. So we have a surgery class where they learn how to suture, and I got real medical needles made, like curved needles with blunt ends, so they don't hurt themselves. Good. And surgical drivers, safety. and we safety first.
Don't listen to Ed, kids. My gosh.
Teaching them how to suture, tie knots, and all that fun stuff, and then we role play a cholecystectomy, and that is the removal of your gallbladder. And so one of the students is the surgeon, one of the students is the patient. We have another student that plays the role of the surgical nurse, and then the anesthesiologist. And so we just role play that surgery. And then they're like, well, I want to be the patient. Well, I want to be the anesthesiologist. So then we have to do it multiple times. And that's perfectly fine. But they love it. And then it helps them. It really helps them remember, and it gets them excited. So I think that's, that role play is key.
So
yeah, especially when you have those different roles.
So I can take that class.
Pardon? You want to take that class?
Yeah.
Okay, come on.
Jump back in time a few years.
Class too.
You got it all.
What's an advanced surgery?
Oh my gosh, where they're suturing the tips of medical gloves back together.
That's tedious. That's tough.
I know. We also do Tommy John surgery. So we created do you know what Tommy John surgery is?
Yeah, for the shoulder, right?
It's for the elbow.
Or elbow,
so
that's right.
Very
Pitchers
popular
get it.
surgery for baseball players.
Yeah.
And so we created our own surgical board. We drilled the holes in the elbow, and then we use a special cord, and it plays off as because you take a tendon out of the leg and you do the tendon transfer, and so they get to do that in our sports medicine program.
Wow.
Incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't know if you have to expand even to other different career paths. I feel like there's so much you can do, just like different surgeries or like different situations that you find, like bedside or in medical. Oh my gosh, like it's just crazy the amount of ways that you can just expand already with what you're doing.
So many options. I mean, and we have a pediatrician program, nutrition, dentistry. Now there's some programs that are not nearly as popular, like dentistry. Nursing isn't as popular, which really makes me sad because we already have such a terrible shortage of nurses and doctors, and pharmacists and vets. And these kids that we're teaching right now are our future nurses and doctors, and pharmacists and vets. And we need them desperately. We absolutely need to spark this interest now, because if we don't, we're going to be in a world of trouble. So we really do. EMTs, firefighters. I mean, we've worked closely with both departments here in St. Louis, just including them in some of our programs and teaching kids the importance of emergency EMTs and, our paramedics and firefighters and how important they are, and our police officers, all of it. So it's something that if we don't keep teaching them, we're really going to be at that low shortage, and it's not going to put us in a good place.
Yeah, I work with nurses every day and do a lot of recruiting for that as well. So I don't know how big of a shortage is right now. It's kind of scary. We definitely need a lot more of those individuals in the healthcare field. Then last question, and then I'll save the rest of mine for your next appearance. But on that same topic of medical devices, what was that collaboration like? Like, did you collaborate with other healthcare professionals in making these medical devices like safe for kids? Like, I'm just kind of curious about what that process was in terms of getting like an IV or something, or a syringe, and just kind of making that obviously safer but also educational.
Yes. So like anything that I get made has to go through certain testing, CPSIA, and there's a lot of very specific testing that all of our products go through. And so then we get letters of conformity, and we get that testing reports, especially with our toys. All of our toys are tested safety, because we do put real working stethoscopes in a lot of our kits. And so we want to make sure that it is safe for any child to utilize. And then we do sell our stethoscopes on their own as well. So we just make sure that all that testing is completed and it is safe for them to utilize our products. And if we do not get the go-ahead, then we don't use it.
And you guys do your homework. So obviously you guys do your homework.
It's our priority, for sure.
Yeah, safety is your priority, but also making it like realistic so it can be like, okay, so this is what it's like to use a stethoscope or a syringe or whatever.
We use like a syringe, but with no needles. It's just like one that you use to give out medicine or what. But they'll draw up like water or different colored solutions, like a nurse would do if they were drawing up a medication. We use mortar and pestles, real mortar and pestles in our pharmacy program. We teach about medication safety and safe storage of medications. So we really try to rein home just safety in general, and your health and taking care of yourself, and why that's so important.
Awesome. That's so cool. I love what you do. That's one of the coolest things ever. I'm excited to see how you guys expand.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you asked your questions.
I am too. Thank you guys. Appreciate your extra time.
Of course.
Well, thanks for sticking around. Appreciate that. So here's the drill. Like I said, 2 old kids, 2 young adults. You can see the kids ran the show tonight. They got good questions, lots of input. I hope that's valuable for other young people. Here's the drill. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. If you love it, share it with somebody else. And if you want to kind of keep hearing what we have to say, subscribe to our channel. Again, on behalf of the team, we appreciate you guys being here. Jen, thanks for being a great guest, and we will see you again on the next episode.
Make sure and subscribe to this show so you don't miss the next episode of 2 Old Kids and 2 Young Adults podcast. We want to hear from you as well. You can email us at 2ok2ya@gmail.com.